Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hey there, welcome to New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, and it is the President's Day edition of the program. See what I did there? Sorry, I apologize. Okay, enough of that. We are here to answer the questions you might have about whatever it is that you are going through. So call us up. We would love to chat with you. And answering your questions today, we've got clinical psychologist Dr. Alice Benton and licensed marriage and family therapist Dr. Jaqui Mack-Harris. How you doing, ladies?
Very well.
Doing well.
Jaqui,
Doing well.
What's on your mind today?
What's on my mind today is anxiety and how sometimes we find ourselves in a storm and forget our footing. I was thinking about the story of Jesus walking on water and Peter saying, if it's really you, bid me come out to you. And Jesus is like, with me, come on. And Peter steps out on the water and is actually doing it and walking towards Jesus. And then he starts to pay attention to his surroundings. Mm-hmm. And he gets distracted by the storm, the waves, the fact that he is actually putting foot on water, and he begins to sink. And I did a conference once, and we titled the conference, "What Are You Looking At?" Because so often what we are focusing on and what we are looking at is a part of the problem. And right now with the world being what the world is and peopling, there are a lot of things to look at that aren't inside, right? So we're not necessarily looking at our own heart. We're not looking at our own thoughts and our own beliefs and understandings of things. We're spending so much time on external resources that I think we just are more anxious and upset than God would have us to be. And so I just want to encourage everyone in this season of change that so many people are experiencing to just remember who we should have our eyes on, who we should be focused on. I have felt that same sense of the world being kind of topsy-turvy for myself, and the medicine has been scripture. Like I have been enjoying digging into scripture more. I'm not the type of person that has that spiritual discipline of getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and reading a devotion, and like that just doesn't even make sense to me. Like why would people do that? But throughout my day, the books that I'm choosing, the articles that I'm choosing to read, the conversations that I'm having, the videos that I'm choosing to watch, I am intentionally spending more time with God because it's what I need right now in order to be able to show up in the world in the ways that I need to show up. And I just want to encourage other people to do that. It's given me a sense of peace that isn't my avoider self. Because my tendency would be to emotionally avoid and just to shut it all down and not care enough to care, and that isn't going to work in my relationships, and it's not going to work in my own body for my own health. And so I'm just big right now on immersing yourself in scripture, finding what is good and focusing on what is good in the world, keeping your eyes on Jesus and not on man.
Jacqui, I think you're taking opposite action because our natural default is we look for evidence that supports how we feel and what we believe. And we're so good at finding the negative that tells me I should be afraid, I should be angry, I should be upset. God tells us to do the opposite, but it's so hard to practice. And then the algorithm feeds us what we fear and what we're upset about. Yes. So it takes extra fight to do what you're saying and extra awareness to do it.
That awareness piece. You have more power than you believe you do. Stop giving it up to social media and the media in general. Just trust God and your instinct for good and for love, and lean into that and look for more of that.
So when you reach for your phone and you're about to tap that Facebook app or Instagram app or something, ask yourself, what are you looking at? Right? That was the title of your, what are you looking at? Why look at this? Pick up your Bible or, look on the New Life app. We've got so many videos and things that we can help you on newlife.com.
The Take Your Life Back course is for people who need to know their own power in repairing their life. There's a phrase in recovery, we say, work your side of the street. A lot of times we get focused on what has been done to us and we get all over and to that side. And yet the work that we have to do is our side. It's what we need to do to understand what healing looks like for us. What are the changes that we need to engage in? We want to find that power that God has given us to live the life that's transformed, that's whole and healthy.
If codependency, regret, toxic relationships, bad habits, and unhealthy patterns are holding you back, New Life's Take Your Life Back 12-week course will help you finally break free. It's time to stop letting the past define you beginning April 7th and take your life back. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Here we go. We are back, and we're going to go right to the phones with Cindy in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, listening on Sirius XM, the Family Talk Channel 131. And I like saying that because if anybody has Sirius XM in their car or whatever, they can listen to us on Channel 131. So, Cindy, thanks for calling in today. What's going on?
Thank you. Well, I'm dealing with the death of my son. He was an addict, and he disappeared the end of April. And they found his body in a remote area December 29th. And they had to use dental records because there really wasn't anything left. My main thing is, was he saved? How do I always said, because I expected it, because he had OD'd like 3 times, but I always said I could handle it better if I knew he was saved. And I prayed for his salvation, and I stood on the promise that if we ask anything according to his will. So I'm kind of dealing with that and dealing with, I'm not angry at God because I know his ways are perfect. I do know that. I haven't lost my faith, but I'm disappointed, and that I just don't know how to deal with all of this.
Cindy,
I'm sorry. I tried to hold it together.
You do not have to apologize for having your emotions and expressing them. You have every right to be sad, to feel, and to cry. Did your son go to church growing up?
He did, but I'm one that, like, I got away from church, then I would go back. So I feel kind of responsible for things. But, I mean, he I don't know how to explain it. I believe that he did get saved, but his life didn't show it. So that's, what
that's all right. Neither did the thief on the cross. So don't stress yourself out with what his life looked like. Remember, Jesus came for all of us. In whatever capacities our sin shows up, it's sin, period, right? And so some of our lives look really good on the outside, but the hearts don't align with what you see on the outside. And so don't make that judgment and put yourself in that pit where you're condemning based on his illness, his mental illness, his addiction. If he accepted Christ as his Lord and Savior at some point in his life, I believe God honors that and holds to that. Yes, we continue to have struggle, and there's consequence for the sin that one continues to live in. But I believe that once you're saved, once you've accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, no one can take you out of his hand.
Well, I do believe that. Once saved, always saved. I do stand on that as well.
And part of your grief might be to really lean in to what you said. You believe that if you pray anything, believing, right? That
it's his will, as long as it's his will.
That it's his will, and seek ye first the kingdom, right? And you've been doing that. And so these are some questions that, like, we can't answer. And so then we're left with faith. And so you're going to be standing on faith that your son knew who Jesus was, had accepted him, and that God honors that, even though he'd lived past 27. And I've sometimes had the sense that what seemed like a senseless death or a person taken too soon, I've encountered or had experiences and visions where it felt very much like that was the perfect healing, right? The prayer had been heal, 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 deliver, heal, heal, heal. And then they died, and it felt very much like, whoa, God, you didn't heal them. Mm-hmm. And I've in my own experiences with these sorts of things had the privilege of God giving me the vision of the perfect healing. Like that was the only way to stop the addiction and to heal him, was to bring him home. And so I'm just going to believe that for you and your son, that his deliverance from addiction led him to heaven, and that God is honoring his accepting of him in his youth, and hears your prayers and your heart's desire, and we just trust that it's God's will that he is in heaven with him, because that was what God wanted. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believed in him would not perish but have eternal life.
I like to think too that perhaps in those final hours, those final moments, maybe all those thoughts that he grew up with in church, all those Bible verses that you might have taught him, Cindy, maybe, they came to his mind, and maybe he called out, like you said, Jacqui, the thief on the cross. Yeah. He said, maybe he just called out, God,
help me,
save me. I'm sorry, forgive me. Yeah, we don't know that.
Yep.
Well, it wasn't long after that there was, I couldn't sleep one night, and I turned on Charles Stanley, and he was talking about God's promises, and he brought up that one about if we ask anything according to his will. And then I think it was the next day in church, my pastor quoted on that. I mean, it wasn't the whole sermon on it, but he quoted it.
Yeah.
And I I'm hoping that was my confirmation that I've been heard.
I would receive it as such.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy, I also want you to think about not allowing the enemy to keep you stuck in a powerless fear that now you can't do more about for your son. You did what you could when he was alive. So now I want you instead to channel that concern into the living who are around you, who may need your attention. They may need you to evangelize to them. They may need you to just share your story. I wish as a mom I'd been a more consistent follower of Jesus, and I regret that. Your story of regret, your story of sadness, and of trying to mother your son, which was so difficult, that is a powerful testimony. So don't let the enemy keep you stuck in this powerless fear, but rather use your story so that you can draw others into sobriety, into health, and into relationship with the Lord.
Yes.
Well, I've been saying that I want his death to mean something. And yes, that would be wonderful to bring other people to be saved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And community grieving is the way to do that, whether that's with your family, that you open up your story, or you enter a grief group, or you attend a New Life recovery group and start telling your story, both for your own processing, but also because it ministers to your listeners.
You might also want to sign up for the Grief Recovery New Life course that we've got coming up in April. You can find out all the details at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And should we send her a copy of the Life Recovery Workbook for Grief?
Yes.
Okay, so Cindy, thanks for calling in today. Stay on the phone and we'll send that out to you. Lots of great calls coming up. Here is CJ in West Franklin, Illinois, who's watching us on YouTube. Let's wave to CJ. Thanks for calling in today, CJ.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, what's going on with you?
Well, so I have been in a long-distance relationship with a young lady from Texas for about 3 months. And I will say this is actually my longest relationship that I've ever been in. And in the past, majority of my relationships have been long-distance. But basically, the gist of my question is I'm kind of confused about, I guess I would say, expectations and what I'm supposed to expect in a relationship if, like really interested in this person, and you start to talk to them, and you date them. And my understanding is that you're supposed to have like, some excitement, like if you're talking to them on the phone or over video or something. But within the last 2-ish months, my excitement that was there in the beginning has kind of waned. And I kind of linked it back to, at the beginning of the relationship, I was dealing with some stress that was brought on by just my uncertainty of the relationship, whether or not God actually wanted me to be in a relationship at all at this moment. Mm-hmm. And we were also talking about when I go down there to Texas, which I've already been down there in early January, possibly meeting her parents, and her dad is ex-military. And so just kind of like all that stuff, I feel like maybe dampened what I would say is like my excitement, my feelings, and just kind of right now I'm genuinely confused about why I may not have what I think was an emotional connection with this wonderful young lady.
So CJ, you guys have been together for 3 months, but for 2 months you've been having these feelings of regret or whatever.
And I wouldn't say regret. It's uncertainty.
Okay.
Basically, for the last 2 months, my feelings have just kind of been basically gone.
And you guys met like on a dating website or something? How'd you guys meet?
Well, it's actually really funny. We actually met. I don't know if you guys are familiar with an app called Discord.
Yes.
Many gamers use it. So we actually met through that. She actually saw my profile on a Discord server for young people in my denomination, and she reached out to me, and we started talking and switched from Discord to texting and then to video chat.
Okay.
And so in the beginning it was great. It was fun. It was nice. We found out we had a lot in common, similar theology, similar political leanings.
And CJ, is there anything you've learned about her or her family dynamics that also might have changed your feelings towards her?
That's a great question. Yes. So from what I understand, her parents also have their own issues. Her mom can be very demeaning to her at times. She even told me about a time when her brother and her future sister-in-law were in town, that her mother basically demeaned her in front of her brother and sister-in-law. Mostly her parents have problems, and I wasn't too worried about that, but I think I was a little nervous to meet them when I went to Texas in January, so I asked her if I could just not meet them at that time.
How did she take that?
She was understanding. I think that she understood because we were talking about her parents and stuff, and the main reason why I didn't want to meet her parents at that moment mostly was because I was starting to be really unsure about my feelings for her, and I just thought that meeting her parents would be a very big step, especially if I wasn't too sure about how I was feeling.
That seems like wisdom. That seems like wisdom. You didn't want to make this big scene and commitment only really to give her parents something else to demean her about, because the relationship ended up not lasting. So that was probably really smart on your part. I'm curious, you are feeling unsure and maybe a little disinterested, but not really okay with that. Like, you're challenging those thoughts. So I'm curious about that. Why not just say, well, this isn't going the way that I thought it was going to go. I'm not really interested. Yes, she's a nice person, but maybe not the right person for me, and move on. What's the hesitation to end it if you're not interested and feeling unsure?
Mostly because for myself, there has been times, especially in this relationship, where I have been really unsure about what I actually think. and what I actually believe about this relationship. And I will let you guys say more because I hear the break. Sorry, I'm familiar with this
You're good, CJ.
I love it when the callers take over and become the hosts. That's great. Okay, so CJ, hold on. We will talk to you on the other side of the break here. And I have a quick question for you, CJ, if you can answer this one. How's your relationship with your parents?
Very, very positive. Very good. They're really supportive of me.
Okay, that's great. Good to hear that. All right, so stay on the line through the break, and we've also got Kate and Lorraine coming up. Anybody else who wants to call in, now's a good time. We're going to continue talking to CJ when we come back here on New Life Live. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching us as well on YouTube and on NRB TV. So many ways that you can listen nowadays and watch us, maybe on a podcast. Like I say, we're everywhere. We're worldwide. And we thank you for being a part of New Life Live.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Are you struggling with porn? New Life's Every Man's Battle Intensive can help.
When I went to Every Man's Battle right from the very beginning, I realized that this is every man's battle, not just my battle.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
It really was a no-shame zone. I've now got a herd of men in my corner. That support system is huge.
Get help on February 28th in Orange County, California. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
The tools that you guys gave me really has changed me essentially in every way.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50 on your registration.
It was just life-changing.
1-800-NEWLIFE. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
As CJ knows, we're back, and everyone else knows as well. Hi there, CJ. Thanks for holding through the break. And let's start asking you some questions now. Who wants to start?
CJ, how old are you?
I am 28, going to be 29 this year.
And in other areas of your life, do you trust your judgment outside of dating?
To a certain extent, yeah. It's only really, I feel like, in this relationship where I've kind of started questioning my own judgment for some reason. And I can kind of explain that a little further after you ask your question.
I want you to consider whether or not you ever made a judgment call in the past that you really regretted later, because of which you don't trust yourself now. I'm inclined to trust your gut instinct, just from as much as we've talked to you so far. And you may have had short relationships up to this point because you're discerning. You mentioned that this gal, she fits a lot of requirements. On paper, she looks great. And I could see that putting pressure on you that you're supposed to stay with this woman because she's got the right characteristics. But something about the chemistry, about your heart, about your gut instinct is telling you to put the brakes on and possibly even to step away. My sense is to trust that there's good meaning behind that gut instinct. How do you react to that?
No, I actually do agree. The one thing that I've been doing for the past probably 2 months, even especially when the lack of feelings kind of started, is that I did do a lot of research to kind of understand like what is going on. And I found different resources and stuff that kind of relate to kind of what I'm feeling. But I would say the reason why I was really hesitant is because of the fact that I've had short relationships in the past, and most of them ended because, and I've only really had, I would say only really two in some ways. But the only reason why at least one of them ended was because of, I just felt like the feelings weren't there. And it was probably really smart. It was actually probably a good idea to end it because the young lady I was talking to, another very wonderful person, was from a completely different country, thousands of miles away. So it probably wouldn't have worked out anyway. But I was hesitant this time because of the fact that for one of them it ended in like 2 weeks. And so I was telling myself, hey, don't be pressured by fear. Keep going and see if there is anything. But I'm at the...
Go ahead. You were saying, CJ, you're at the point?
Yeah, I'm at the point where I realize, I think right now, whether it's a combination of things or whatever it might be, that I think that I can't continue in the relationship because of the fact that I keep kind of going back. I feel like I'm going back and forth where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try with the relationship. But then the nagging sense in the back of my head is that, well, you're not feeling anything like she's feeling something. And I will be honest. I actually basically broke up with her the other day. But we're still kind of talking through and seeing kind of where we're at together, because I think she has some questions and trying to figure stuff out. But other than that, I have been thinking about it for months, and I've tried, air quotes, but I think that recently
this is the time if you're going to break up in a relationship where you've got to try, and it feels so hard, it makes sense that you don't want to let it go on further. I'm wondering about counseling. Have you ever done counseling in terms of working through relationship issues? Because you've said a couple of times that it's not feeling like it felt in that first month. And we have a book called How We Love, and it deals with attachments. And some of the love styles tend to idealize things. And so there's all this energy and excitement in the beginning, and then it just kind of wanes. And for those type people, they begin to devalue the relationships at that point. So I wonder if it would be helpful for you to read that book.
Yeah, I would be open to it.
Okay, we'll send you a copy of it. Alice, did you want to add something?
I do. CJ, if I were in a relationship and my partner were having that much questioning about it, I think I would prefer that painful honesty so that then I could make my own decision about, do I want to stay in a relationship with somebody who doubts it so much? So I think it's actually a service to give to your girlfriend, either to just be upfront about your struggles, which it sounds like you have been, or to end it so that she can make her own decisions about what she wants, the kind of person that she wants to date. And I think you're right to look at the family characteristics that you're concerned about, because you do, if you're dating to marry, you marry the family. And there's no perfect family, of course, but your girlfriend's awareness of her family's shortcomings, what she's done about it, how she handles it, and whether or not she's in her own recovery, that says a lot about what long-term relationship will be like for you.
And that's why I asked my question, because I was wondering, because he said his parents' relationship is great and everything, so I'm wondering if maybe he almost idolizes his parents' relationship, like, wow, they've got the perfect marriage, and that's what I gotta find. And then he sees that his girlfriend's parents aren't as together, and maybe he's afraid of getting into something like that. I don't know. But CJ, thanks for calling us. We're going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back. And we've also got a new life course called No, it wasn't Take Your Life Back. It was How We Love that we're going to send you. So How We Love is the book that we're going to send you. So stay online. And we've also got that available on the newlife.com store. Kate and Lorraine, we will get to you when we come back from the break here on New Life Live. Thank you so much for listening today and for watching us as well.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, May 2nd through the 4th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
It's Monday, and that means that we have a new episode of the Every Man's Battle podcast available. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, and you will hear honest conversations and encouragement about living a life of sexual integrity. Now, this podcast is fantastic material, but it's not a substitute for joining us at the weekend workshop. The next workshop is at the end of this month, February 28th through March 2nd in Orange County, California. You can learn more at newlife.com. To the phones we go. Here is Kate in Philadelphia, listening on WFIL. Thank you, Kate, for joining Doctors Alice Benton and Jaqui Mack-Harris. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to say briefly, I was my husband's in the hospital right now, and I was cleaning his car, and he listens to your station, and I heard this podcast or whatever you want to call it, and I thought, I wonder if I should call in and talk to them. So that's how I came across your show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I wonder if that was a God thing. I don't know.
I think it was.
I was just thinking, it seems like it's meant to be.
Yep.
But to hear that your husband is in a psychiatric hospital, we're so sorry to hear that. What's been going on?
Yeah. Well, he has serious PTSD from childhood trauma. And also on top of it, I'd say like his whole life he has not been a good sleeper, but I'd say in the last 6 months it's been really bad to the point where I just think he couldn't handle his life anymore. He's kind of stuck in the past right now, in his past trauma, and he just keeps saying, I'm so hurt, I can't get past this. And and this has been our whole marriage. He brings up stuff in the past continually and just talks about it. And then, especially if we get in an argument, it gets thrown back at me, like my past infractions or something my mom might have said to him, and so it's just been, and while he's been in the hospital, a couple of times he's called me and like really lashed out strongly at me, and then called me back like the next day and said, I'm sorry, it's not true. But it's like, it's just, I don't really know how much more of this I can take. Like I'm afraid for when he comes back home. Because I don't know. I almost feel like I don't want to do this anymore,
Yeah.
And Kate, being mistreated like this, even though he apologizes after, this sounds like years of accusations and false accusations coming at you. I don't think you should tolerate it at all, but we'll talk about what that means and what to do next.
Yeah.
Tell us,
I haven't been an angel either. I have lashed out at him, and, because what happens is I'm kind of not allowed to disagree with him, so then I get angry and I might walk away and curse or something like that, and so that is not appropriate either. And I have asked for forgiveness and told him I was sorry for that, but it's just over and over again.
Thank you for your humility, that you're not perfect in this relationship either. Tell us, before this hospitalization, was he in any ongoing treatment?
Yes, he's been seeing counselors on and off throughout the years. And 10 years ago, he was hospitalized again, but it was because he was taking a medication that helped him sleep, and it just wasn't working anymore, and he had to get off of it. And he kind of had a little bit of a breakdown then, but it's constant, taking medication to sleep. But then when it doesn't work, he'll take more, or he'll go to the local smoke shop and buy gummies, or you know what I mean, just trying all this different stuff. And I think it's just too much. I'm hoping that through all this that he's in the hospital, and I'm hoping that this will clear his system and help him to just maybe be on one thing, or just to.
So Kate, does he misuse prescription medication or add other substances, gummies? I'd imagine marijuana gummies, THC gummies.
Yes.
To treat his. Okay. And is there any other significant drug use or significant alcohol use?
No, there is not.
And even though he's been with counselors off and on, would you say that he has a very humble acceptance of his diagnosis, and he knows he mistreats you, and he's getting ongoing help so that he can better manage his symptoms and treat you well?
No, I think it's more he thinks that I mistreat him.
That's why he goes to counselors, because you mistreat him, supposedly.
Yeah, well, and because he feels like he's been a doormat his whole life, and he's allowed people to treat him a certain way, and he is a really nice guy. I mean, if you just met him out in the, you would be like, oh, he's so nice, and he's very kind-hearted, and he's loving, but he has taken a lot of stuff from people because he doesn't lash out at them. He just kind of takes it, but then I guess he suppresses it. He's suppressed it for so long, really angry.
And when you say you're not sure how much more you can take, have your thoughts gone all the way to considering that you might need separation, or even wondering if you should get divorced?
Yes.
And so where do you currently stand with that? Do you have a plan?
No, I've been thinking about stuff, and I guess I do need to have a plan if I do it. But I keep thinking, well, maybe this time he'll heal better, and we'll be able to work through, our differences and all.
What would healing better look like for you? What do you need out of this this round of hospitalization in order for you to not feel like separation is an option?
Not continually reminding me of the things I've done, or my mom, or I just don't. I'm so sick of hearing the same stories over and over and over again. I just not even just about me, about other people.
So he tends to verbally.
How he's so hurt.
He tends to verbally process the things that are going on. And you said that he's a really nice guy, and so he's probably. I'm thinking of How We Love again. Sometimes pleasers can be dishonest. They do things they don't want to do. I've heard people say that marriage is about compromise. Good people compromise. Well, if you had a piece of cardboard that was compromised, it would be weakened. And compromise generally weakens the relationship because it's not coming from a choice. If I'm making a concession and conceding on an issue, on a point, and I'm saying I'm deciding to go along with this, I still have my belief. I'm being honest about my belief, but I'm also in agreement with you, and I'm okay to move forward. That to me isn't compromise. That's I made a concession. I chose to move forward that way. But compromise seems to me to be almost a lie of, okay, well, yeah, we'll just make it be okay. And so you tolerate treatment that you shouldn't tolerate, or you do things for people you really don't want to do, but think you must do it in order to be considered a nice person. And then you go home and you're not a nice person because you're mad because you're carrying the weight of the lie of the thing you didn't want to do. So I wonder if part of his treatment needs to be him being able to get honest with himself, but there's a lot of hurt. A lot of times people continually repeat the stories because they don't feel like they've been heard or validated. And so there might be a way for you in communication with him, and maybe a comfort circle where he brings up a problem. You could walk through this comfort circle, which is in the How We Love book, and get him to dig in a little deeper about those hurts and those stories and what they make him believe about himself and what he needs to have happen differently. And then for your part, that you also do some work so that you can maybe stretch your container for his stuff. You know, sometimes my husband comes home at the end of the day and he's going to talk about his life, his work, his day, whatever encounters he's had. I'm not like that. So I had to grow a container to put his stuff in, because at one point I just would nod and smile at the appropriate times, and I wasn't really paying attention. Before that, I would just tell him, like, all you do is complain. Like, I don't want to hear all this negative stuff. And he said, well, who else am I supposed to talk to? And I was
That's
like, oh,
exactly
good point.
That's how I feel too.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
So
what are we here for each other for?
Right.
You know,
and so I need to hold that for him. He's just offloading it. He offloads it. It goes into a container that I do not take inside myself. And when he's done and he walks away because he's gotten it all out of his system, I go sit that basket down. It's his. And then when I come home and he starts again, I pick it up. So there might be work that you can do to help you be better able to tolerate his storytelling, because that is how he alleviates some of his anxiety.
Yes, okay.
And he's in hospital right now, so you can't come, but it would have been really great for you guys to come to Intimacy and Marriage.
Yes, yes, indeed. But we've got more Intimacy and Marriage workshop intensives coming up later on this year. You can find out all about them at newlife.com. In fact, there's one in Washington, D.C. Where are you at, Kate? Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay, not far. Washington, D.C., that is July 25th. So you can sign up for that at newlife.com or by calling us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And did we want to send her How We Love? Okay, so stay on the phone, Kate, and we will send you a copy of the book, How We Love. And we've got more calls coming up. Lorraine, you are next here on New Life Live.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Sometimes we feel there's not enough hours in our day. Right now I feel there's not enough minutes in our hour because we've got so many calls that we want to get to on New Life Live. Let's see what we can do. Lorraine in Atlantic City, New Jersey, listening on WFIL. Welcome to New Life Live, Lorraine. How can we help you?
Welcome, and thank you for having me. I was calling in regarding my nephew who's in a shelter, and I don't really know how to work with him. I'm trying to. And then also my brother, his father died in October, and I know I'm still grieving, as well as his wife. But in terms of suggestions, ideas, and I just thank God for leading me to this radio station. And it was his timing and direction. And I know my nephew wants to do better, but he doesn't know how because he's dealing with mental illness. He was on drugs. I think he's, missing his dad and all of that. And the mother, basically had to put him out because, she couldn't control him, and he's 40 years old, so and I told her she shouldn't have to,
Lorraine, your family has been through so much upheaval, and so I respect that your heart goes out for your nephew and you wonder what you can and should do for him. Are you feeling compelled to do anything in particular, like open your home to him, provide for him financially? What were you thinking of doing?
Well, I have already provided financially, but no, I'm not going to open up my home because I know he's in, to drugs and all of that, and I don't want people, coming to my house and in and out. So I'm trying to see if he can, work with his team to get him in a group facility that will oversee him because, the mother said, she can't take it because she wasn't able to, sleep or, and people in and out of the house, all night, it wasn't a good situation. So, in terms of, resources or how moving forward, because I just don't want anyone to get hurt.
Lorraine, I'm glad to hear you're approaching this so cautiously and that you're being careful not to give too much too quickly, because I think you're right. He's got some signs that he may be dangerous, he may be volatile, and helping too much can actually undermine the healing process because we need to hit bottom in order to really accept the help that we might have been rejecting previously, and especially with substance use, that tends to be the case. And so allowing someone to experience the consequences of some of the choices they have made while being willing to support their help and their healthy choices. For instance, as you've provided money before, you might limit what you provide financially to as long as he's receiving treatment, as long as he's staying in the shelter or working towards that group home. Perhaps you pay for therapy. Perhaps you pay for some of our books that you might send to him and we'll make you a recommendation. And so supporting him while he's continuing to make healthy choices and or asking his mother what support she needs while she's also struggling with the loss of her husband and the separation from her son. But doing so cautiously, always linked to making healthy, sober choices.
What book should we send? What would you think?
Thinking one of the Understanding and Loving.
Oh, yeah. There's also, doing life with your adult children. It's not her child, but it is.
Yeah.
So that might be
Okay, let's end that one.
Okay, so Lorraine, stay on the phone and we'll get that out to you. Let's go to Sarah in Reading, Pennsylvania, listening on WBYN. Hello, Sarah. Thanks for calling in today.
Hi. Thanks for taking the call.
Yeah.
So
I'm really stuck, as I was telling when I called in. I don't know how to move forward. I go to counseling, but I needed to step back into counseling. My brother died last year by suicide. And yesterday was his daughter's 4th year from suicide, 4 years ago. She
no. Oh, Sarah.
I should say take her own life. So I didn't talk to my brother like a year and a half before he passed because the family, he was an alcoholic. And there was no talking to him anymore. And he just became, everything, ugly, whatever. Was living with a woman, and she's an alcoholic, very codependent to each other. So when the funeral came, I have a lot of anger towards, and this is where I can't move past from the funeral. My oldest sister brought her to sit with all of us.
The woman that he's living with?
Yeah. And I could tell nobody wanted her next to them, the rest of my family. And she ended up in our pew. And I was so angry. Just instantly, I couldn't follow along the service because she was going to sit next to me, and I told my husband, I cannot, you need to sit there. We went to the cemetery, and everybody was there, our car, mine, kids, and my husband. We were the last ones to get there, and, they have chairs for family members.
Yeah.
My sister had her sitting there. There was no chair for me.
Sarah, your reactivity to her is so understandable given her position in your brother's life and with his addiction. Now, we're coming to the end of our show, so we want to get to a question so we can make sure to help you. What do you need from us?
I'm just stuck. Every time anything comes up in regards to remembering, I go right to an angry mode and push people away. And then it leaks out into my home life here.
And I think you said at the start, you have done counseling before and you know you need to get back to it, and you're not in it currently. Is that correct?
No, I am.
You are in therapy now?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Are you processing your anger in therapy?
I am. But I have a long history, lifelong. My parents were alcoholics and sexual abuse and physical abuse. So there's just a lot of, factors. But this is where I feel stuck.
And Sarah, you probably realize that the extreme anger you're feeling towards your brother's partner, it is in part due to just her and her role in your family's life. But she's a kind of a catalyst, I believe, for all the other history of multiple suicides in your family, generations of substance use. And so it's coming out at her, and you're saying your anger is also leaking out at other loved ones. So it means that there are layers to this that are overwhelming you in the present. And I need to ask you, this is really tough, but you have to be patient with yourself because you're in the right process. You're doing the right steps to move through this, but it certainly takes time, especially as complicated as the chaos has been in your family. So keep at the therapy, keep talking about your anger. That's the way to diminish it over time. Choosing grief tends to be underlying the anger. Grief is under anger. And so keep grieving, and that will help to decrease the anger as well.
Should we send her a copy of 100 Days to Freedom from Anger?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll send that out to you. And also we've got a grief recovery New Life course coming up in April that you might want to sign up for. You can get details at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We are out of time. Man, so many people we helped today. Thank you so much for coming alongside us as we help these people on a regular basis here at New Life. Please make a financial contribution if you can to continue our work. You can find out more at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.